Brad, I guess to kick things off, just some logistical questions. Travis Sanheim, Travis Konechny, do you expect them to play tomorrow?
Yeah, I do. As far as what the roster looks like tomorrow, I'm not really going to comment on that, but I would expect them to. Yeah, I'm not privy to what their status is, so I would assume they're playing.
Usually the day before we do get goalie though, from John.
Oh well, I didn't get a goalie, so yeah, I can assume that, but I'm not going to comment because I'm not 100%. So.
Is it still the two same dressing, or Urson and Fedotov, 1 and 2? Is that still
I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay.
In terms of Jamie Drysdale, he says he's still working on his game and he's still trying to build the confidence. I saw you talking with him a little bit today. Where do you see his game?
I think that I after talking with him, I mean, I know he would like to have more of an offensive impact on the team at this point this year. We'd love that as well. I think the growth in his game has definitely been away from the puck, and sometimes there's a give and a take, and I just want to reiterate that he's an offensive weapon, and for all the growth he's making away from the puck, I don't think you can ever lose sight of the fact that that's how he's going to help teams win games, and especially in big moments, and in when the checking gets a little tighter in playoff games, he's got to find a way to create in those scenarios as well. So we just talked about certain things to maybe focus on the next few games, and then the next 25 as a group as well.
When you watch him both in real time and on tape, do you see a guy who, there are opportunities for him to make plays, to jump up, and he's choosing not to purposely?
I think there's a hesitancy there that he would like to get rid of. I think there's a more finely tuned offensive player underneath there, and I think he's still trying to find the best way to incorporate that type of player into how we like to play hockey, or how we have to play here to have success right now. So, I just think that I can tell that, at one point I said, why don't you play like you're a point a game guy? Like just decide to do that. Like confidence is an incredible factor in especially on offensive guys. When he looks at his stats, it's not something that fills him with confidence. You have to then create that confidence somehow, whether it's artificial or just the words you use kind of as your swing thoughts when you're teeing up the ball, right? You have to be seeing fairway. You can't be seeing the rough or the water or the out of bounds markers. And I just think that, I think I can help him do a better job of getting to that best game.
So speaking to his offensive ability, obviously a player like him, offensive defenseman, if and when he hits a ceiling, he's going to get a lot of his points on the power play. Now, you don't coach the power play, but do you still work with him on the skills that will allow him to produce points in the power play as the coach of the defenseman?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about things, and sometimes in the midst of working on other things, there are elements that affect the power play. So indirectly, for sure, we'll talk specifically about the power play. I'd love him to have his head up more, get to see the ice better. The best guys, without fail, see the ice, so well. Like we just played Erik Karlsson. That guy's been doing it for years, and it's like he never looks down. And part of that is a confidence thing. Part of that is a habitual thing that when you do it so often in practice and then in games, you never have to think about it. It's part of how you play.
What's your broad philosophy on, you've got Drysdale, you've got Cam York, Emil Andres in the system. There's three kind of smallish guys. How do you view size on the blue line and the importance of that in today's game, just broadly?
I mean, you can't teach size. You look at the teams that are winning playoff rounds and Stanley Cups, and for the most part, they have big defense cores. And so, part of our growth as an organization is you likely can't have those three guys around when you're really, vying and becoming a contender and being a team that's going through playoff rounds. Really hard to do. It's kind of that inner competition. If they can't all stick around, then we're trying to make the decision on how are we a better team at this stage next year, and then 2 years down the road from that, and so on and so on. These guys have to show us on a daily basis who gives us the best chance to win. And so, as you're shaping your roster, I love size. I've coached lots of big defensemen. I love them on the penalty kill. An extra foot of reach is an incredible asset to have. I love big guys with snarl. They have a huge value. They impact games in different ways. But at this moment, we don't quite have that makeup. So we're looking to, how do you get these guys pointed in the right direction and playing consistently enough and cohesively enough that we can get that level of success we're looking for.
Talking with some of the team leaders today, they said that they still believe that you're in contention, but you can't look too far ahead. You have to take it one game at a time. I know it sounds a little old-fashioned, but is that what you guys are sort of preaching out there, that we can't look down the road, we have to just focus on tomorrow?
Well, especially we have a pretty thin schedule as far as number of games. So, tomorrow is huge for us because we sit around for a couple more days as other teams are playing. If you do the math, we probably have to win quite a few of the last 25 games. That seems daunting, but when you do it, put a 2 or 3 game winning streak together, and you look up and you don't have to quite win. It's not quite as daunting. So our job is to keep our eyes on the prize kind of thing, but at the same time, don't be looking too far down the road. Edmonton is all we're thinking of right now. How do we find a way to get 2 points out of that game? How do we find a way to neutralize some of their exceptional talent and make them play in their zone a little bit more than they want to?
From your standpoint, a little streaky over the last 20, 25 games. How do you account for that? Because it certainly is a little bit different from what this team has been traditionally the prior year and a half. What's crept in that's prevented you from finding that consistency game in, game out?
Well, I'm not sure anything crept in. I think, that losing streak at the end of last year was a combination of a lot of little things that didn't go well and things that had kind of bounced our way up into that point, sort of bounced the wrong way. And I'm pretty sure we analytically we were still doing pretty well in those games. We just weren't putting points on the board. There's lots of reasons for success and non-success. I think I said it a couple days ago. I think we've had a tougher time this year finding that real identity of what your best game looks like, and then can you replicate it night after night and against multiple types of opponents. And that's kind of given us a little bit more trouble this year in my mind. And so then, it is hard to put the 4 and 5 game win streaks together. It is harder to kind of have a game like the one against Pittsburgh where, that was kind of a breath of fresh air where I didn't think we played particularly well, and we get 2 points. Goaltending was good enough, get a couple bounces, one goes in off half, and at the end of the day, not real excited about how we played, but we'll take those 2 points all day long. And I think we just have to find ways to have success. If we can't do it in the obvious ways, then let's do it. Let's do it in the details, and let's do enough of those little things. I heard John Cooper say it last night before the game. Let's do enough of the little things well, so that the big things take care of themselves. And that's probably one thing we haven't done as good this year to this point, consistently anyway. At times we've done it very well. At times it hasn't, maybe been as sharp. And our challenge is to do it in the midst of every other team trying to gear up at the same time. So it's extremely difficult, but I know every guy in the room is geared up for it. We're all refreshed. We're all, it feels like we played a month ago. I can't wait to get back out there, and I'm hoping every one of our guys feels the same way.
In your eyes, did the Four Nations do enough to keep that format around in some fashion over the next years ahead?
I think absolutely. I think the interest outside of the game especially was a great positive for it. It was some exceptional hockey at a time when a lot of other guys are resting, and so we'll see what that does to the fatigue levels of some of those key guys coming out and then getting inserted into pretty high-intensity playoff races immediately. So I think there's 10 games tomorrow, a lot in the afternoon. So we get right back at it, and it's up to us to do a little bit better in all areas.